My name's Wayne Christian. I'm standing in for Don Busty, which is recovering from surgery, and we want to keep Mr. Don in mind as he's recovering. We want to welcome our special guests from outside of the region today, Keith Jones and Nathan Willington from NACOM. We're glad that they're here with us today. We can say we really had winter in the South. And we're glad that all y'all weathered it to come out and be with us today. We've got a good program. If you would, let's have a prayer and bless the meal that we've received this morning. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord, and the blessings of the day. We thank you for safe traveling graces that got us all here, Father. We pray that you'll see us safely home. Father, we thank you for the meal that we had. Father, we thank you for your love and kindness and all your grace. We pray, Father, that you'll give us wisdom, godly wisdom to go about your business, Father, and live our everyday lives. Just to lead, guide, and direct us, and help us to ever be in thy will, Father. Help us to realize that while we're here on earth, it's not about us, Father, but it's all about you. Just go with us through this meeting, Father, and may your hand and love and grace be upon us. We ask these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. Okay, next I'd like to introduce the Mayor of Hamilton, Wade Willington.
Good morning. Glad y'all here this morning. I want to welcome you to Hamilton and Marion County and our C3 region. We're very excited to have everyone here in Hamilton this morning and be hosting this. We're thankful for Bevill State for letting us be here. And we're just looking forward to a great 2014. The crowd we have shows that folks are interested in what's going on. And I'm looking forward to hearing from our speakers today. We're all here for economic development for our communities, and we just want to thank you for being here. Thank all elected officials, there's mayors and council members, commissioners from all over. So welcome to Hamilton today. We're looking forward to a great program. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to David Thornell, and thank y'all for being here.
Good morning. I also am glad that you're here and that we have survived a weather episode that we didn't even expect. I have the pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Greg Canfield. Greg is the Secretary of the Department of Commerce. Most of us knew for decades as the Alabama Development Office. And of course, that change has just been made recently, especially dealing with international prospects, and it becomes now more common across the states that you see the Department of Commerce, which encompasses all of those things that are important to the growth of business in our state and others. And Greg, being Secretary, acknowledges in title that he is the head of that effort. And to be the Secretary of Commerce, you have to enjoy travel. And so Greg has had another travel adventure this morning, and one that we were proud that he endured and was able to make it to us, thanks to the state and the Department of Public Safety. They just happen to have helicopters, and so you don't get bogged down too much after liftoff. Greg was appointed by Governor Bentley in July of 2011. He had, many of you are in city offices, had served as the president of the City Council in Vestavia, where he still lives with his wife Denise, and they have 2 children. But Greg is out representing our state, was leaving here early, had to shift the program around a little bit so he could make it to Ohio today to meet with the prospects. So he's out and about and doing the work of this state and promoting the good things that we have to offer. And it's good to have someone with a sales background. He's owned his own business, a financial services business, and Greg picked up really quick on this business as the hired help and appointee of Governor Bentley in the role of Secretary of Commerce. I have a friend who also lives in Vestavia that called me as soon as he heard that Greg had been appointed and said, "You're going to like this guy." And he was right. Greg has been a good ally for us and has been working hard, and just the fact that he was getting up this morning in the cold and surprised at any minute to have gotten the text or the call to say, no, trying, but can't make it, but he's here, and we're glad that you're here, Greg, and it's my pleasure to, if you would help me welcome Greg Cantfield.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
David, I know I knew if I didn't come, this might be my last invitation. I was the problem child for C3 because the schedule got a little crazy with project activity, and then we had a little winter storm that decided to breeze through in parts that we're a little unfamiliar with in the state of Alabama, having snowfall and be covered with snow and ice in a matter of an hour. So I spent Tuesday night in Homewood, Alabama, not too far away from Vestavia Hills. You would think I would have been able to make it home, but unfortunately the roads got full and cars were choking all of the major highways and interstates. And luckily, I had a friend that I had served with in the Alabama House of Representatives named Paul DeMarco. He and his wife were kind enough to put me and 4 other people and an infant child up in their home. So there was a lot of good being done by a lot of people across the Birmingham region, and I know that the same is true as you travel a little further south. I'm not here to talk to you about weather today, though. I am glad to be back in the C3 region where Governor Bentley and I were just last week to celebrate the grand opening of Fayette Fabrication. And I think that that was an opportunity to underscore how important it is that the state of Alabama, in particular through the Department of Commerce, along with the various partners that we have across the state of Alabama, like C3, that we work together as best we can to find opportunities for economic development, capital investment, and job growth all across the state of Alabama. And I, first of all, really want to applaud you because we know one thing in the Department of Commerce. As we reach out across the globe and across the U.S. to attract industry to the state of Alabama, the regions that we get to see that have the most success are the regions where there is the best cooperative attitude. And to bring these 3 counties together in a strategic way to focus on recruiting and helping existing industries grow and create more opportunities for the people in this region is to be applauded. And I hope that you will continue to have great success as you continue along that path. What we have been doing in the Department of Commerce is, since July of 2011, the same time frame in which Governor Bentley appointed me to this position, we have been spending time looking at how to make economic development more competitive and more strategic across the state of Alabama. In July of 2011, Governor Robert Bentley executed an executive order that created an organization called the Alabama Economic Development Alliance. And what made this alliance unique is that for the first time in our state's history, I want to underscore that again, for the first time in our state's history, we had an organization charged with developing a strategic plan for economic development that was comprehensive in nature for the entire state. For the first time. Now, you cannot argue that the state of Alabama prior to that has been successful in economic development and recruiting industry to the state. But what you can argue is that when we were faced with the deepest, longest downturn in our economy the Great Recession, you had to change the way you did business in order to do business. And so a strategic plan had to be the centerpiece of being able to do business in an economic environment where the world had changed. And it continues that the world today is changed. The way business is done is different than the way business was done 10 years ago, even as much or as soon as 6 years ago. So, the Economic Development Alliance was unique. It was also unique because of who makes up the Economic Development Alliance. You know, in the past, you would have seen a group come together that would have included the Department of Commerce, formerly ADO. It probably would have included EDPA, the Economic Development Partnership of Alabama, representing the private economic development interests of companies across the state of Alabama. It probably would have included the Alabama Marketing Allies, those companies across the state of Alabama that partner with economic development that are primarily the power producers like Alabama Power, and TVA is represented in the state through the North Alabama Industrial Development Authority, and Power South, and other organizations like that. You would have expected them to be at the table. You might have also expected EDAA. This is the alphabet soup of economic development, isn't it? EDAA, the Economic Development Association of Alabama, which represents all of the professional practitioners across the state of Alabama, like David Thornell, and represents them as a profession. Yeah, you would have expected those groups because they are and have been the backbone of economic development success in the state of Alabama. What you might not have expected is what really makes the Economic Development Alliance unique. And that is to have Alabama's education community at the table. So at the table, in addition to the traditional economic development organizations that I just outlined, we also had the superintendent of Alabama's school systems, Dr. Tommy Weiss, representing Alabama pre-K now through 12th grade. We also have at the table, as an active participant, the chancellor of the community college system, Dr. Mark Hyman. But we didn't stop there. We also have Alabama's four-year universities and our private research institutes represented in this process. So that made it unique. And the unique thing about it was this. The governor charged the Economic Development Alliance with putting together a strategic plan. But he recognized that we cannot any longer afford to separate economic development from education. The two go hand in hand. In fact, I would charge anyone with the belief that we hold in this administration that education and economic development are almost one and the same. Because to have successful education, you have to create successful career opportunities for our students of today so that they can have careers of tomorrow in the state of Alabama, so that they don't have to depart our state in order to create their own lives and to raise their own families and to begin and continue throughout the development of their own careers. But we also can't have successful economic development without successful quality education, jobs training, and skills development. And so that's why the Alabama Economic Development Alliance is and was unique. Now, I'm very proud to be chairing that particular group. And what we did was we were given the task by Governor Bentley. We were given 5 months to create the plan. And we did. It's called Accelerate Alabama. So Accelerate Alabama is the strategic vision and the strategic plan that brings together for the first time education and economic development at every level. So we impact every level of economic development across the state. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about what that really means, because I want you to know what we do at the Department of Commerce, who we are, and I want to just tell you a little bit about the divisions that we have. But let's talk briefly about Accelerate Alabama. Accelerate Alabama in its most simple form. And I believe that to have a strategic plan, it has to be something that can be communicated clearly and easily understood by all. So Accelerate Alabama is a plan that is flexible. It sets statewide goals and statewide targets of targeted industries. But it is flexible in that every region, every community around the state of Alabama that is engaged actively and proactively, as you are, in economic development, can take Accelerate Alabama and make it their own, to embrace it strategically to your advantage. Now, we have outlined 3 main focuses: recruitment, retention, and renewal. The 3 R's of economic development in Alabama. Recruitment is the recruitment of new industries and new companies to our state. The companies or the industry sectors that don't exist in Alabama today. It is an active and proactive outreach to be able to go out and take and create opportunities to bring new companies and new sectors to the state of Alabama in very meaningful ways. Retention is about nurturing and creating the environment in the state of Alabama, as well as providing the assistance necessary to help nurture Alabama's existing companies and Alabama's existing industry sectors, to create the environment where they are compelled to grow and reinvest in their operations in Alabama, with the end goal of creating more job opportunities and more career opportunities for Alabamians. Now, renewal is probably the most important aspect of what we're doing, because we know that we will experience the best growth opportunities in our economy by working with Alabama's existing industries to help them grow and succeed. That 3rd R, renewal. Well, renewal. If you're a traditional economic developer, that renewal thing, it's a little uncomfortable, because it's not something that we as traditional economic developers have been necessarily engaged in as a profession actively, except in certain pockets of the state. So what is renewal? Renewal is about taking advantage of growing the opportunities that come from Alabama's research and technology capacity. You know, we've got some of the best universities and research centers in the Southeast, right here in Alabama. There is so much biotechnology and medical research being done across the state of Alabama. There is so much technological research being done to advance processes that include things like the emerging technologies of robotics and photonics, and things like ionics, which I really have to admit I don't fully understand, but I do know that those particular emerging sectors are important to supporting Alabama's advanced manufacturing capacity. They are the technologies that help create a solid base for Alabama's companies to continue to do business here and to be more efficient and more productive. So, that's what we're focused on. 3 R's. And within those 3 R's, we are focused on 11 sectors. 11 sectors that include the automotive sector, the aerospace sector, the steel and specialty alloy sector, the chemical sector, the forest product sectors, and the advanced food production and manufacturing sectors. Those are what we lump in together as advanced manufacturing. Why in the world do we want to pursue advanced manufacturing? Well, it's really quite simple. Advanced manufacturers are characterized by a few things. One, every one of those 6 that I just outlined of the 11 are expected to grow by 5% or greater on a compound basis each year for the next 10 years. But what's also more important than that is that advanced manufacturers are also characterized by being heavily dependent upon technology and high-skilled labor. So, these companies offer a greater scope of job and career opportunities for Alabamians. Everything from entry-level, lower-skilled positions where someone can enter the workforce and work their way up, to the most advanced skills necessary to compete and to produce products in these advanced sectors, whether it be engineering, whether it be physicians, researchers, IT people, you name it. Why is that important? If we're going to lift Alabama's economy up by the bootstraps and redefine an economy in a way that we have better diversity within our economy and more job and career depth in terms of opportunities for Alabamians, that's where we need to be focused. The economy for Alabama today and the economy for Alabama 10 years from now is not the economy that Alabama had 25 years ago. Yes, agriculture and forest products remain a backbone of our economy. But you would have never thought 25 years ago that Alabama's #1 export would no longer be agricultural products or forest products, but would in fact be automobiles. Imagine what our economy has looked like and reshaped itself to become in the 20 years that Mercedes-Benz chose to locate their first ever assembly outside of Europe by coming to a little place that they knew very little about called the state of Alabama. And here we are today. And your economies in this 3-state region have benefited because you have worked together and successfully targeted some of those industries, in particular the automotive industry, but also the forest products industry. So, what are the other sectors? This is where it gets a little tougher now. I call them different things, so I may give you more than 5, but it's really just 5 more. Regional offices and home offices of corporations. That's another area that we need to be spending more time to attract those companies. It also includes emerging technologies, which I mentioned earlier. That is the discipline of advanced robotics and photonics and ionics, any advanced technology that is at sort of the growth stage of becoming used as part of the standard operating procedure in manufacturing today and tomorrow. It also includes IT and data centers. It also includes an innovation component so that we can take the research being done in the state of Alabama and we can commercialize that research being done in the state that lends itself to creating a product or a service in a way that a business can be created and capital employed in the state of Alabama and Alabamians being hired to do that work. Why should we tolerate anymore great research being done in the state of Alabama only to see it leave the state when it's commercialized? Let's have it commercialized here, where the research is being done today. Then finally, logistics and distribution. We've got a great interstate system. We've got access to one of the largest population segments within a 300 to 500 mile radius of just about any other state. We've got 4 Class 1 railroads that service the state north to south, east to west. We've got a deep water port to our south. We've got a major inland port in Huntsville. So let's take advantage of this natural capacity for distribution and logistics. So, that's, in a nutshell, our strategic plan. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's enough to share with you today. Now, how are things going? And how do we see things for the future of the state of Alabama? Well, I'm happy to share with you some good news. I'm tired of bad news. I don't know about you, but we hit the recession in 2008. We're still not fully out of it, but I'm tired of bad news. I want to see some signs that things are getting better, that our economy is clawing itself back, and that we're beginning to see some positive signs that we've made the turn in Alabama's economy. So I'm happy to share with you the Alabama Economic Scorecard that came out. This was done just in December by the Culver House College of Commerce and Business Administration at the good old University of Alabama. $59,400 more people, 59,400 more jobs exist as of November 2013 than existed on January 1st of 2011. That's pretty good. Our unemployment rate is at the lowest rate at 6.1% that it's been since 2008. Do we have everybody working that needs to work? No. Have we seen some sectors slip in terms of employment? Yes. But we've also seen others gain in employment. What is the area of our economy that has shrunk the most in the state of Alabama? You want to take a guess? How about government? Government has been right-sized. So when you measure jobs and job loss, unfortunately, that has to be a part of right-sizing. Alabama has seen 10,300 fewer government-related jobs. Now that accounts the local, the state, and the federal government levels. But at state government, we've got 5,500 fewer jobs as of the end of November than we did January 1st of 2011. So government has been right-sizing. The economy right-sized, so government should be a reflection of that right-sizing. It just takes government longer to right-size than it does the private sector. So where have we seen job growth? How about manufacturing? 17,800 new jobs during that period of time. Professional and business services, 12,000 new jobs. And of course, leisure and hospitality continues to grow all over the U.S. The Gulf Coast has begun to rebound. And so we've seen 17,500 new jobs in that category as well. Just some highlights. Now, some other good news that sort of portends to what we hope is going to be a bright future for Alabama. Still again from the report I was giving you. The Alabama forecast is that we will see Alabama's real GDP grow from 1.3% growth in 2012 to a very robust 3.1% in 2015. Let's hope that's true. One of our goals at Commerce is to help create the environment where that can become true. We expect to see employment continue to grow, and that growth in employment to pick up to about 1.3% per year or greater. We hope it's greater. Tax receipts flowing to the state should increase as economic development and activity continues to grow from 3.8% to 4.5%. And that's the very growth that is needed to support education and workforce development and skills training, which all impact economic development and growth in the economy. So hopefully we're on the right track. The signs continue to look good. The signs looked really good in terms of employment opportunities. How many of you read some things in the Birmingham News or AL.com about how sluggish net job growth has been in the state of Alabama? I know I did. I didn't like what I read because it didn't tell the whole story. Think about this. When Alabama entered the new year in 2010, our unemployment rate sat at about 10.4%. And today we're at 6.1%. But that doesn't tell the whole story. We've announced since January of 2011, when Governor Bentley took office, through about the first half or 3/4 of 2013, we've announced 17,248 new jobs that will come from expansions. That retention model I was telling you about. And 20,847 jobs that have been announced that will come from new and expanding industries. That was announced in 2012. I'm sorry. 17,248 was 2011 from new and existing industry. And 20,847 jobs announced in 2012. Just in November, there were jobs being advertised across the state of Alabama. This is measured by the Alabama Department of Labor, not by me. The Alabama Department of Labor measured the number of jobs being advertised to be filled across the state of Alabama, and that number in November of 2013 totaled 55,703. 26,100 of those had been advertised for 30 days or less. So the economy may be heating up. Our strategy, Accelerate Alabama, may be beginning to pay off. We've had 2 years to implement. So we've completed our second year of implementation. Now, detractors will say, okay, yep, 55,700 jobs were advertised. I bet all those were retail that were leading up to or part of the Christmas season, perhaps, right? but they had to be low-paying, part-time jobs. Of the top 20 occupations that were advertised, only 3 of those were directly associated with retail. 17 represented more high-level skill jobs that require better skills and provide higher pay. And that included everything from truck drivers and heavy equipment operators, all the way to MIS professionals, architects, engineers, accountants, manufacturing supervisors, manufacturing line production workers. So 17 of the 20 were job openings in growth opportunities to help build on some of those careers I was talking about. So, what do we do from here? Well, we continue to work together. We continue to take Accelerate Alabama and make sure that we don't have a strategic vision for the state that remains static and becomes stable. A strategic plan is only as good as 2 things: implementation, and then also measurement of its success. So we're measuring the success of Accelerate Alabama. We will begin a new process to refresh Accelerate Alabama in 2014, this year. Because we want this plan to be a real, live, strategic vision of what Alabama's future can be. And we want your participation, your continued participation. You've gone through a strategic visioning process already. I encourage you to continue that process, to make it an active process. I encourage you to continue to do the things that you've been doing to look at Accelerate Alabama and the strategy that we have, and to answer some very basic questions. Where are our strengths? Where are our weaknesses? What weaknesses can we overcome? And what weaknesses do we just have to accept? Because every community and every state has strengths and weaknesses. And why do we want to tilt at windmills and try to overcome weaknesses that we can't overcome? But there are certainly weaknesses that we can improve upon. And so what I'm telling you is, you do not need to be all things to all people. You do not need to be all things for all industry sectors. Concentrate on where your strengths are in your recruitment process, and concentrate on those weaknesses that you can improve that will open up more opportunities for you in the future. And let's continue down this path where the future for the state of Alabama is a lot brighter than it has been. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. I know that you're going to have a successful conference today. I'm willing to take a few questions as long as they're easy. If they're really difficult, David Thornell said he would answer. All right. Question? Don't be bashful. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. We are pleased that our House Representative for District 16, Daniel Bowman, is with us, and of course Senator Bedford and Representative Milliken. They're a little different this year. They're meeting the legislature on Thursdays, and so they both had that issue as well as the weather, so I know it's taken extra effort for Representative Bowman to do with us. He represents Fayette, Lamar, portion of Tuscaloosa County. But don't memorize that, because that'll change. It'll change for all of our
representative Senate districts after this session or toward the end of this year. But Representative Bowman, if you could come forward, we're pleased to have you with us. He just wants to share a few words of welcome with you.
Good morning. I am sorry I'm running late, but I got to do something this morning that I hadn't done in a while. I got to hear a great political speech, and it was from my 4th grade daughter at the school, so that's why I'm running a little late. I got a little lucky. Talk about the bad weather. It's been tough trying to get to Montgomery, but the stars aligned because we're going in at 1, so I'm going to be leaving here. I told David I won't be long because I still got to get to Montgomery. Need to be there by about 2 o'clock, so I guess Mike and Rod are already down there, but I promise you I will get there. It is great to be here, and it's great to see David and Wayne and everybody else that was in Hamilton the other day to announce the job birth of Fayette Fabrication, and that's a direct involvement with C3. So I've been able to go to a number of things over the last few years where C3 has been the reason that we're expanding in this area. Greg Canfield was there the other day, and I got to serve with Greg in the House of Representatives right before the governor took him away from us. And Greg is doing an outstanding job. And everything he set up here, I agree with 100%. Unemployment is down, jobs are growing, but we need more in our area. I do not see it quite so much in Lamar County, Fayette County, and Marion County. And it is certainly not due to the hard work of David Thornell and C3, because I see what they're doing. And I see what everybody in this room is doing. What we need is we've got to have jobs here. We do not need jobs in Columbus, Mississippi. We do not need jobs in Tupelo, Mississippi. The people in Tuscaloosa, they want their jobs, and I represent part of them, and I want them to have their jobs. But I don't want our unemployment going down because our people are moving there. I do not want unemployment going down because those people haven't found a job in 2 years and they're no longer looking and they don't qualify. What I want is I want for people to be able to graduate high school in Lamar County, Fayette County, Marion County, the C3 Alliance counties, and be able to feed their families with jobs, good paying jobs, in those counties without having to pay $3 and $4 a gallon for gas to go somewhere else and come back. Now, it used to be we could do that, but we can't right now. David Thornell and C3 is making sure we can. This is a great alliance. What they do is second to none. I know that David personally comes by and talks to the mayors, because I've seen him, because I've been there talking to him when he's just popped in. So for what's going on with C3, you guys, I commend you. This is a great, great organization. I'm supportive. I know you need some help. I know we got to get you some highways. Greg, I don't know where you went, but I've asked the governor that we get the roads paved from Fayette to Tuscaloosa, from Fayette to Columbus, from Fayette to Winfield, from Lamar County to the corridor. That is the key to growing what we need. And we all know that. As the mayors and the county commissioners and the probate judges in this office, there's only so much you can do when you don't have that, because in this state, there's a lot of empty buildings and there's a lot of cheap labor. All right? We've got to have the infrastructure that makes them want to come to our counties. So I'm going to do my job and my part to talk to people I can, do things that I need to in Montgomery to help C3, to help these counties. I'm from Lamar County, and that's home. I chose to move back here about 5 years ago, and it's where I want to be. My wife is from Fayette County, and for all you married men, you're going to take care of what your wife wants you to take care of. That's just the way it goes. And as far as Marion County goes, I spend about 50 or 60% of my law business right here in Marion County. So these 3 counties that make up the C3 Alliance are very near and dear to my heart. I want to see them succeed. C3 does. And I'm going to do what I can to help us get the message out that we've got to have jobs here. We'll take jobs anywhere. If we got to drive to Walker County or Tuscaloosa right now, that's great. But we need them here. And that's what we've got to do. That's the help we need out of the governor's office, and that's the help that I'm going to consistently ask for. I'm going to stop there. If anybody's got any questions, I'll be glad to field any questions. Well, thank you for having me. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm going to head to Montgomery. And once again, enjoy your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Bowman. We have some folks that did not make it, even those that are on your program. Dr. Mark Heinrich, yesterday about 4:30, we were that close. He decided, and he's in Montgomery, that he could not make the journey today. Dr. Heinrich sends his regrets, and Dr. Susan Burrow, who is now, as you know, the interim president of Central Alabama Community College, had about that same distance to travel and through Birmingham, so she couldn't make it either. But in your program, you'll see a list of the folks who support us, the communities, the counties, all three of our counties. There's private members. Of course, we're pleased to have the West Alabama Economic Development Authority, which is Lamar and Fayette, and then CDF of Marion County that support us. And so we couldn't do anything without all of these partners, and not only their funding, but the efforts that they put behind gives us their time and knowledge and attention. And so we appreciate all of you for being a part of C3, and we appreciate being here at Bevill College this morning. Bevill College has a long history of supporting these organizations. I was fortunate I had a key to this building because this was the office for CDF. When I first started, we were in an office in Fayette at the campus there at West Alabama's former office. Now, of course, we're in the center of the region in the big city of UN. It's really, if you just take the map and you look at where we're located, it's good and handy for us to go to Hackleburg, down to South Fayette or Lamar County, wherever it may be. But we thank you, Dr. Russell Houghton, who is the campus dean here at Hamilton. Had some great help and support from his folks getting set up. Carla Manasco, Jill that's up in Crow's Nest, an IT person, and so just a lot of help. And even see Marla Mentor, the Chamber of Commerce here, has just been great in publicizing the fact that this meeting will be in Hamilton. We had, of course, a great experience in our first 2 years of the Pastime Theater in Winfield. I hope Mary Heights is here. And we're going to move our meeting around from year to year. We've had, and we'll do that, of course, in the leadership. You'll see the changes. We've got our first chair from Lamar County. We had our chair of the C3 award last year. Up until today, really, has been Don Bussey from Marion County, Bevill. And then Don Walden, who was our first chair. Before I get into the slides, I want to, I think it's just a great transition that Greg had mentioned their Accelerate Alabama plan, because we've been continuing to work on our Accelerate the C3 Region plan, and a lot of people have been dedicated to that cause in the committees that we've been able to put together, retention renewal and the recruitment, of course, but then we do have a new industry education alliance. And a lot of what we had planned to talk about today, and we're fortunate that Dr. Ann McNutt is with us, and will share some of that, just the fact that industry and education, the two build off of each other in the work that they do to be successful. It takes that education component and industry communicating with education to make sure that they're on the same page and doing the right things. We'll have here in this room, the end of February, the third sort of student industry expo, which will bring in the 11th graders from all of the Marion County schools that are going to participate here. We'll invite in some of the schools from Lamar County to participate, and we just finished that same process in Fayette, which we had. That was the second one at the Fayette campus at Bevill, and it just went over really well, I thought, because the industry participation was good. It was companies coming in and allowing the students to know what they do, and also just sharing that that's an opportunity for the students to focus the direction of their education that would wind them up, hopefully, with an opportunity here locally to work in industry. any and all of you are invited to that. February the 28th will be a morning session, and we would love to have you not only attend, if you can volunteer. You would need to talk to Dr. Russell Houghton and Beth Roberts, who is here in coordinating that with us. A great program that has been led by, as I said, that Industry Education Committee. Rod Northam, manager of 3M, who is here is the industry connection there, and representative, and then Max Weaver, who is the dean of the Hamilton, or the Fayette campus for Bevill, is helping with that. So talk to any of those folks if you can volunteer. We hope that you can join us in the morning at the 28th. I mentioned Max. He also should get the Road Warrior Award for today. As he drove from Fayette this morning, but he drove from Tampa yesterday, and it was pretty amazing as we talked throughout the day. Well, where are you now, and what does it look like? And it was a good commentary. We should have had the cameras running before the trip.
David, what concerns me is I worked at Bevill for 24 years, and that apparently is the most amazing component of a job I've ever completed in my career. That's what everybody, oh, you made that trip.
It'll go with you to your grave.
You gotta be known for something.
Well, a great thing about our C3 strategic plan, we appreciate all of you that's been a part of that, we're headed in a direction that we've already chosen. It's based on what Greg covered. We've looked at our workforce, we've looked at this location, this environment, what can we do well and our people do well, and that's the types of industries that we want to go out and present that opportunity. So we've had targets that we pulled together. Automotive, any community in Alabama is going to target automotive, but we have some great strengths for automotive in this area, which I'll cover here shortly in more detail. Also distribution. An easy one, the fact that we've got a new interstate and good connections of U.S. highways to that interstate from each of our counties. The others was just other types of vehicles, all types of vehicles, and that entails metalworking, which we have so many companies that are experts at metalworking, heavy metal fabrication. Terry Campbell, who's the co-chair of our retention committee, is here. Oxbody's a great history of success since 1972 in Fayette in heavy metalworking. NTN Bauer, heavy metalworking here. NACO down in Sullivan. So we've chosen these targets that we're working towards because, as I said, it's workforce, it's location, it's what's happening in our state, and we're working in those ways, in areas or ways that we can get the attention of those companies. Our partnership with EDPA this year, and the folks from EDPA couldn't make it, being in Birmingham. Many people live in Birmingham. They also live in their offices in Birmingham for the past few days, and that was the case with some of our friends at EDPA that were going to be here. But our goal with EDPA this year is to raise awareness of all the positives that we have in our area that are often overlooked. And so if we're not recognized, we can't be appreciated. So we're going to raise awareness of the good things, not the lack of, it's always a perception. People see this area as a lack, but we're just too small. But we actually have strengths and things that we can offer in abundance. So this area should never have to apologize, and that's what we're going to do this year, is to say, hey, you probably didn't know this and you should know this, and it's why that you should consider this area as a business location, a place to grow or locate, and a place to live. We'll have a new quality of life brochure that's coming out that's just beautiful, the photographs that we have of the area and the pluses that we have, things to do and things to see in this area, famous sons and daughters that have come through our area that are featured in that quality of life brochure. So those are the sort of things that we're doing and spreading the word, and the newsletter that goes out every 6 or 8 weeks, that's to 450 people right now. We're always growing that list. We're growing it by adding corporate contacts and consultants and just friends of the region, allies that can go out and tell others about this area. And we hope that you'll take that on as an assignment, that you're always going to be a positive ambassador for the area. And it's not, at the end of the day, what C3 can do, it's what all of us can do for each other in building the region. We're all in the business of loving this area and growing this area. So we hope that you'll take on that as your assignment, that as you learn things from us, that you'll be seeing different ads, different emails, different ways that we're getting these messages out that then you can go out and tell others about it. So we'll begin to show you those things in just a minute. I hope I'm not skipped anything. That in addition to the quality of life brochure, just this week, Business Alabama, I wish we had had copies for all of you. We're going to have copies of this at our office, so please stop by. I'll give you a reason to stop by and see us at our office. But Business Alabama is, of course, the state's only business magazine that goes statewide, about 58,000 subscribers, and others that read this, because this is the kind of magazine that goes in people's office lobbies when they complete reading it. 17 pages in this magazine feature Marion, Lamar, and Fayette counties. Great ads. We appreciate those who supported it with the ads, but also just the copy within that magazine to introduce this area to people that maybe didn't know that much about it. This is the first time that they've ever featured our 3 counties. We were looking in examples for ads. We took last year, I guess it was a legislative directory, comes out of the January issue. This is the February. But as I pull that January issue out from under my phone, where I've kept it for the legislative directory, there was Elmore County featured. The January came in, and I was putting that in the new one under my phone. There was Elmore County featured. We've never had Fayette, Lamar, and Marion County featured in this magazine, except 5 months ago in October, there was an article of 2 pages. There's a photo of a bad photo of me, a good photo of Wade Hagedorn, the manager at VF Wrangler in Hackleburg. But the article was, here's an area that's working together. We got great publicity there. You can't just overestimate the value of something that's free and getting out in front of the people that this magazine gets in front of. We've also been featured in Southern Business and Development magazine recently, and that was just for the strength of our location for automotive. It was this issue, the special automotive issue. And I'll leave these outside as we leave, but we're within 230 miles of 9 OEM plants. So it's an area that if you're in the automotive business, you probably should pay attention to. And of course now we're so well connected by the interstate, so that's a big plus for us. The Ewan site that was the finalist and actually won the project, but it was then shelved for Magnustar is featured in this magazine, Southern Business Development. And that covers the 17 southeastern states, but of course then this is sent outside of the region to promote the strength of the South as a business location. So we're going to spread the word, and that's what the slides are about. Probably, I could just mention that in the slides, I think. Let's see if this works. Well, this is something that I think perceptions are everything in terms of selling the area to others. They show up wherever it's the first conversation and the first actual meeting, the first time that we're reaching out to them. Their knowledge and perception is probably not very good, and it becomes reality to them. That, well, oh, you're over there in that rural area. Now, where is that? I think I stopped for gas there one time. So you're in the middle of nowhere. Well, actually, we've had scientists looking at this, and we're in the middle of everywhere. We have almost 14 million people within 200 miles, and there's 5 metros within an hour's drive. I've never lived in the area, and this is a gypsy profession. You do what you can do and you move on, but I've never lived in an area that you can reach 5 metros in an hour's drive. And it's an easy drive for us. And so we've got a lot of options for entertainment here. We were talking yesterday to a prospect, and he asked about, well, do you have a McDonald's? Do you have a Waffle House? He was kind of just making fun about, you know, I might want to move down there, and that's, you know, I like small towns, and of course, what he's going to find is there's great home cooking here that'll beat those, but he'll be happy anyway. And so the fact is that these perceptions that we deal with about our area and the rural aspects of our area, gosh, we're making an adventure if we're going to have a big city experience, and then we come back home where it's safe and more affordable, and you know your neighbors and are more comfortable. So those are some of those numbers, surprising numbers that you would think about in terms of how far that we reach out. with the, in this case, the radiuses are shown 1,600, 150, 200. There's 34% of the U.S. metros are within the 500-mile radius of this area. So really you're reaching everywhere within the eastern U.S. that you would want to serve if that's your customer base. And look, we're right in the center. Again, we're right in the middle of everywhere. Over to Dallas, all the way to the East Coast, even up into the Chicago area. Here's what I mentioned before about distance of auto plants. So you've got up to 9 auto plants. None of those over that last, the Kia from Lamar County, 229 miles. And of course you see the logos of the companies that are within that 230-mile radius and then the interstate that connects us. No stops. You hop on the interstate and you're there if you're serving any of those customers. And this is the difference maker that we've not had. And we still don't have it. It's surprising to me, this interstate that we use every day, and we've not taken it for granted yet because it hasn't been completed and we're going to enjoy that, but so many people will still say, well, that's that old 78 and is that open and tell me more about it. And so we need that for that to be completed, and this is the year and it'll make a huge difference. Traffic count on this interstate is a third, probably what it would be when this opens and people do discover it and begin to use it every day. So that's the difference maker for the whole region. It's going to be something that we've needed, and at the end of the year that we've gotten. Great publicity that will come from the completion of I-22. As you see, the cones move, another lane's open, another bridge is open, and that's all going to come to the end of the year as positive publicity for us. We've got a short video to give you an update on what's happening at that 65 and I-22. This is one of the most expensive and most complicated connectors in AlDOT's history. So it's taken a little while. But if you go today, you'll see, and I had someone mention the other day that they saw, hey, there was another bridge, another, abutment there that they had put another piece of the puzzle together. So it's becoming almost daily that you see that progress. Representative Bowman mentioned this. It's almost a catch-22. It works for us and against us, that convenience that I mentioned, all the metros in the area. But we have a lot of people that drive from a wide area that come to these 3 counties to work. And so in this case, we're showing, this was some Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers. We're showing 21 counties and 2 states that we pull from. These people are those employed in our area. And actually that doesn't include, you see Lee County up there at the center, Mississippi, just above that colored area in Mississippi. NACO has, I know, someone that lives in Tupelo, drives to Sullivan State. You had the Sitel manager here, who lived in Tupelo, former site manager. Now, why do people do that? Because they can, because they have some reasons that they prefer, well, I'm going to live there and I'm going to drive in. But the downside of this convenience to other areas is that you have people from our area that are dispersed. Once the car rolls out in the morning, it's rolling out of the county, and so they're going to 22 counties, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They're going to wide areas, you see, to the Shoals, to Tuscaloosa, to counties in Mississippi. Some of our best employees, because they would have to be skilled people to sustain a job outside of this area and be able to pay that $3 plus in gas. And that's what we want to see reversed. We have a lot of product here, and this is a list that is always changing, and that's a good thing. Another one of those things, we look at the positive, look at the negative. A negative, we've got a lot of empty buildings. A positive, we've got a lot of empty buildings. We've got a lot of buildings that attract attention to prospects because prospects would rather not use their imagination and would rather not pay for something new if they can find something used that they can move into. So it's easy for companies to come into an empty building and say, we can make this work, and we'll make it work cheaper than if we started from the ground up. We're going to get in here quicker than if we started from the ground up. And this good selection creates good prospect traffic. Now this list, as I said, is constantly changing. Monday has been mentioned that we announced Fayette Fabrication, which is in the Delta building in Fayette, which is a 135,000 foot building that's on this list somewhere. Yeah, it's like the fifth down. That company's occupying 50,000 square feet of that building. That building will become an incubator that will be a multi-tenant space. Bevill State is going to help us with that, and our tenants that we're going to pull into that building. The University of Alabama is a partner in that. So if you think about, we've had these large manufactured housing plants, but those that have been leased or sold, brilliant homes. Here in Hamilton, the Southridge building, the Waverly building, didn't stay on the market very long at all. You've had the American Non-Woven building in Vernon that's now occupied by a new company. The building that the company that went into the Great Homes building vacated up in Bear Creek is now occupied by that new company, Paradise Canyon Lodge, and then Performance Fibers in Winfield was on this list when we first began. It's now occupied as a warehouse space, but a need for local companies to use that warehouse space. And then Strickland building in Beaverton. Just this past week, that building has been occupied. So Indy's building, another form of manufactured homes plant in Hackleburg, all occupied. But we need a building, we've still got lots of buildings. We have a lot of property, and we have some great property in this area. We have 40 miles of that new interstate, the segment that comes into the state from the Mississippi line, 9 exits. Not many counties, and I've not been able to just follow the map and find some way to look at that and determine where we rank, but I think it's going to be pretty high when you look at the number of miles of interstate, the number of exits. That's all opportunity for us for future development. And many of these properties are on our interstate. There was a story recently about a site in Chilton County down below Clanton that was opening, and there were comments from the Department of Commerce, gosh, that's great to get some more property on the interstate. Well, we're well ahead of them. And there's some of the very best sites because we have 3 of our advantage sites. Well, actually 2. The 5th one is the Winfield site. That's just a matter of some paperwork, and we're going to have it back on the list. 2 sites in Hamilton and the Guin Parks as advantage sites, and then in Vernon, the Lamar County Park and the Fayette Park, just on the northern end of town, Industrial Park. All advantage sites, which means that they've got all of the work done. Really shovel ready is what that means, that you can go ahead and trust that the environmental's done, the soil tests have been done, and you can get started pretty rapidly on an advantage site. 8% of the state's advantage sites are about 47. Our 3 counties representing only 4% of the 67 counties, we've doubled that in terms of advantage sites. So we'll soon have over 10% of the state's advantage sites in our region. We have a good diversity of strong companies. The best selling point for us is always going to be existing industries. Not only existing industries, the source of the most new jobs, and that's for any and everywhere that you would look. Most of the jobs are going to come from existing industry. But they're also the best selling point that we have, that companies have been here for a long time and have remained strong. We have 6 Fortune 500 companies, affiliates of the very strongest, largest of companies in the country, and of course some that are even owned overseas ownership. Japan, that you see Showa Best Glove, NTN, affiliated with the Japanese owner. Steel Dust Recycling in Millport, owned by a Mexican. But some pretty good names when you just look at the credibility the fact that, hey, these folks are here, and they're happy here. They're happy because they've been here a long time, else they would have picked up and left. 3M celebrating their 60th year this year. One thing that brought the Toyota plant to Tupelo, and I've heard, and you have, I think he spoke in this room, Dennis Cuneo, that was the vice president of Toyota, that was a part of that site team, talked so much about receiving high numbers of folks that were involved in manufacturing in the Tupelo area. So the folks in Tupelo knew how to make things, and they needed a car made, so he felt like that these people probably know their way around in an environmental or an industrial environment. And so that's something that we decided to talk to the folks at EDPA about, and to say, we know we've got a lot of people that are employed in manufacturing. How does it compare to the other metros? And you see there, it compares pretty strongly. I've always thought of the Gadsden area as a heavy industrial area. There's some huge plants over there, tire plants and others. We're right there with them, and Dothan. And then just to get into Anniston, Oxford, Auburn, Opelika, not that much larger. We want it to be, but we're headed in the right direction as a region now. We've now got a lower unemployment rate than the nation overall, and so that's was a sigh of relief and pleasure, I guess, when that came out just a few weeks ago, to see that continue to fall in this region. And we want to see more of that. Actually, the population has stabilized. One thing that companies are going to summarize, and they're going to get to know you pretty well before they get to know you to know that they're even looking, but they're doing that online. We have a award-winning website. We hope that you'll look at it. Won an award from the Southern Economic Development Council. It's northwestalabamaeda.org. I think that's probably on your brochure. But if you have anybody that's interested in working with us in terms of business, we hope you'll direct them to that site and direct them to us. If they're going to start a business, we're one of the 3 centers. We have one in each county for the Entrepreneurial Research Network at the University of Alabama, and that's available in our office with no charge. So that gets us back to just a couple of comments. We have automotive, as I said, as a target. It's just an easy answer for anyone in Alabama with the growth of the automotive industry. We, I think, have additional advantages that others don't have, especially in terms of proximity and the connections that we have to the automotive. The thing that we've done just over the past year, and we partnered with Franklin County, also another one of those border counties, is we see that Toyota is going to grow, and it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Right now, the number of automobiles that they produce, and it's an established model of the Corolla, and that was being served 2 plants across the country, and so the supplier network was well established prior to them moving to Tupelo. And so those plants, for the most part, have continued to operate whether they operate, or wherever they were in the country. That plant has a large warehouse, so that it's just in time, send the forklift over there and get me another supply of those parts. And so those companies are sending in those supplies. Mercedes did the same thing recently, built a huge logistics center at the Governor Cup River just a few weeks ago. So that's pretty common, and until you reach a critical stage that you won't be building a new supplier plant. But Toyota is going to get there in Tupelo, and it's because that they're going to bring in another model, which is common. Mercedes is adding another model. Nissan in area just north of Jackson, Mississippi, they're 4 or 5 models right now. So what's going to happen is we want to be prepared and really proactive in terms of that growth at Toyota. We've employed a site consultant, it's also an attorney, a guy that spoke to one of our annual meetings, maybe even last year, Alec Leith. Alec is, really does the incentives negotiation for automobile companies when they choose their final locations. And so Alec, through his contacts and networks, were able to determine every company that supplies Toyota and then other automobile plants in our state that we're not yet in the southeast. So we've got this valuable, Mitch and I being those border counties, concentrating on Tupelo. We've got this list of companies that we know at some point they're going to have to be thinking about it and probably even be forced by their customer, whatever the OEM may be, to move to this area. We're going to be making our first trip to see those folks, most of them around the Detroit area. We had thought originally it might be around Georgetown because of the Toyota plant in Georgetown, but most in the Detroit area, if we go and tell them about, hey, we're here and here's what we've got to offer. Of course, in Franklin County, they have spec buildings, they have advantage sites. They're not on the interstate, we are. But we look forward to working really, as I said, proactive and aggressively on the automobile plants this year in relation to Toyota. We're a part of my 22 Alliance. There's a board back here that you'll see. We sponsor different events as a group along I-22. So that includes not only our 3 counties, but Franklin County, Winston County, Walker County. Good thing about that, when you go and you're going to tell them we've got a new interstate, as a group, we can share the cost, but pick up the same leads and work those from those meetings. We were a sponsor of a meeting in Atlanta last year about this time, and we're going to Dallas to meet their consultants event and to be a prime sponsor of that. We need to always court our folks in Montgomery. They're the ones that the phone's going to most likely ring to say, well, what do you have? What's going to meet this list of requirements I have. If there's a consultant that's very specific in what they're looking for, and they'll even have worksheets to fill out. And the state then has some flexibility in saying, well, here's the ones that meet the form perfectly, and here's the ones that maybe aren't a perfect match, but you probably ought to take a look. And so we're pleased that we've got a good relationship with Commerce. Same with Alabama Power Company, their Economic Development Department. And we're always going to be trying to court those folks to make sure that they know that we're here and we're ready and aggressive and can work with them. So we're going to plan for a Capital Day, C3 Capital Day, that'll come up by the end of this session. It'll be a chance for maybe some of us just to, we go on a bus, that we go down to Montgomery, we rent a ballroom at a hotel, and we invite all of our friends from the state departments to help us to come in and spend that time with us while they're there. So that'll be a first this year. Activity is strong. This year has been off to a great start. It's been a good variety of things. And when I say variety, it's not just the fact there's different types of companies, different sizes, but they want to look at each of our counties. So that's a plus for us. And as I've said so many times, this is a funnel down process. This is companies who will say, well, hey, there's and it's not out of the question that there will be 1,000 locations that they would consider in the very early stages, but they only get down to one at the end of the line. And so we're able to, combining our 3 counties, all of these sites, all of these buildings, all of these assets that we have, combining our 3 counties allows us to get several contenders into that funnel, and that we're just going to work hard and make sure that we're at the very end have a chance to win. So this is something that I hope that you don't ever consider that this is what C3 is doing. This is what we are doing. It's what we, each of us, in terms of being of assistance to the rest of us and to the rest of the region, to grow our region, it really does require partnership, and it's teamwork that's going to make the difference, and is already capturing the attention, as you noticed, of the folks in the state. We've captured the attention of Business Alabama, the magazine in Birmingham, that said, we heard here that you're actually working together over there. Let's come do a story, and let's partner those in terms of this geographic spotlight. So that's the kind of things that we're going to continue this year to do as a branding campaign, re-imaging the area. People that don't know about this area are missing something, and we want to make sure that they're informed, and that they're also going to hear something that surprises them, maybe excites them enough to go tell someone else. But we're heading in the right direction. We couldn't have done it without everyone in this room, your commitment. And I'll wrap up with that, but I'd like for you to just give yourself a hand. I'll now transition to something we were really going to focus today on, and of course, unfortunately, Dr. Heinrich couldn't be with us and sends his regrets. He was on the phone, I know, yesterday with Dr. Ann McNutt. Dr. McNutt will talk about just this subject that you'll read more and more about and hear more about because it makes perfect sense. That the educational institutions and the programs and resources of education, when they're directed to student learning that's going to lead them to jobs, then you can't do any better in terms of your product being in demand by those that are doing the employing, have employment opportunities. Dr. McNutt's a friend of ours, has mentioned all the support that she's given to C3 and our predecessor organizations, and is a native of Tennessee. She was actually, though, in South Carolina before she came to us for 21 years as the head of the technical college in the Low Country, South Carolina. Beaufort, I think I said it right. She was proud of me this morning, Beaufort, South Carolina. But she was able to grow up and have an education in Tennessee, both her bachelor's and master's, East Tennessee State University in Johnson City, and then doctorate from Peabody College, which is now known as Vanderbilt College, which Vanderbilt absorbed that teacher's college into their system, and that's one of the best graduate programs in the country. So we've got somebody here that knows what she's doing, and she's for us. So we appreciate you, Dr. McNutt, and if you could just come spend a few minutes talking about workforce in our community college.
Well, I have to confess, David, I was never on the phone with the chancellor yesterday. We were emailing back and forth. So when you say you've talked to somebody today, maybe you did talk to them, but maybe you were emailing, or maybe you were texting. The chancellor does send his regards. He thinks very highly of this organization, and his regrets at not being able to be here. Now, I have to share with some of you that I saw on Monday, some of my good friends. I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I won't see you on Thursday. I'm going to be in Florida at the Workforce Development Institute," which Max Weaver was. And the reason I was going was that the Appalachian Regional Commission, who we tapped for money, decided it would send some community college presidents there. And I was registered to go, and on Monday afternoon, my Tuesday flight got canceled in anticipation of the storm. So life began to get interesting. Tuesday morning, I had a doctor's appointment in Birmingham. I got home Tuesday night at 11:30. My flight from Tuesday had been rescheduled to Wednesday, yesterday. Yesterday morning, my flight was canceled. And Delta wanted me to fly today, and I said, no. So I'm very glad to be among friends, even though it's cold. The Workforce Development Institute is very important to the community college. And we've tapped a grant, and Max is going to have to help me on this. But because of my involvement last year in the Workforce Development Institute and our involvement this year, we were able to obtain a grant to train people who are 50 plus. I don't remember how many people, Max, help me out.
The way the grant is set up, that we actually do information sessions during the year. We'll serve 45 people at each of those 4. And then a group of them will actually go into training. We'll provide 8 scholarships each session for students to actually attend the training. But we'll actually reach out to about 180 people a year.
We recognize that in this country, we don't exactly have as many people as we have in China or India. And so to be competitive, a lot of us are staying in the workforce longer than we used to. Some of us need to be retrained. So we're really excited about having this type of grant. So I want to tell you how glad I am to be here today. I was very glad as our speaker, I'm trying to call him commissioner, that's not the right word, Secretary Canfield, to get in my own bed. I actually got in my own bed very late Tuesday night. But it was kind of nerve-wracking to look out and realize how cold it was and that you couldn't really go anywhere. The kindness of people in Alabama is overwhelming through that. If you've watched any of the news clips, I was watching CNN actually just tear up yesterday Georgia and the mayor of Atlanta. And then I saw film clips this morning of some things that went on where people just help people. I mean, people from Whole Foods in Birmingham actually got grocery carts and were going down the highway on 280 where everybody was stopped. I wasn't stopped there, but the film clips, it's just remarkable. So it's a wonderful location. David, I was born and grew up in rural America. I appreciate rural America. We have a lot of attributes, and I love where I live. I love to go to Birmingham most days, didn't on Tuesday, but I like that shopping. But yes, I like to come home. I don't like to deal with all that traffic or those other issues that you deal with in rural America. The chancellor has some things that he had sent to Ed Howe, and I said, well, I will look at it, but I'm not a substitute for the chancellor. Number one, I'm not nearly as tall as he is. Second, he has some visions that I want to talk about, and these are notes that I made on coming out in the car. The first one is the effective working relationship between business and education. That's one of his key visions. That's always been one of my key visions. A second one deals with dual enrollment. And dual enrollment, briefly, is when a student in high school enrolls in a college credit class and he receives high school credit for it too. That's another key vision of the chancellor. He's working very hard to see that we can expand those offerings. We know in our post-secondary system that what works well is really business and industry and education working well and effectively together. But by education, I mean, as Secretary Canfield noted, in Accelerate Alabama and some of those other things happening, all of education. Not the two-year system, not the university system, not K-12 alone, but that seamless system of education. And there is a lot of effort in this state to have that effective partnership. A lot of effort, and I think it's going well. Now, one of the things I was very interested to hear Secretary Canfield's comment about education and economic development, and he didn't quite say the thing that I do want to say that I've said for a long, long time about economic development and education. And I said this to my friend David Cornell yesterday on the phone. Well, you know, I've been in this business a long time, David, and you've been in this business a long time, and really, it's the same business. It's one coin, and education is one side, and economic development is the other. It's that important, and it's that intertwined. So we at Bevill, in our post-secondary system, relish the opportunity to be key partners. We have worked hard at Bevill, David, to help C3 come into existence. I, again, came from a regional area, a rural area, and regionalism works in economic development in rural areas. And if you're trying to go it alone, you're not going to be effective. So we were pleased to work to help C3 be created and help be a partner with C3. And Monday, it just seemed like it was last week, Secretary Canfield. It was Monday, because Tuesday was a long day to a lot of people. There was a wonderful ribbon cutting event of Fayette Precision, did I do that right? And it is a startup, but it is an exciting startup dealing with the automotive. And the room was full of people. The turnout to celebrate that success. So David, you and C3 and all of the communities involved to be commended for that. That is quite an accomplishment. I thought it was interesting too that Secretary Canfield mentioned Accelerate Alabama. We at Bevill State, now the Chancellor and the post-secondary are working with Accelerate Alabama, but we at Bevill State have a new strategic plan that's, I think right now, still posted on the webpage for people to make comments to, and I think that ends maybe in a few days. But the basis that we used to create that was two documents. One was Accelerate Alabama, which you heard about. The other one was something called Reclaiming the American Dream. And that's a publication from the American Association of Community Colleges, which deals with the fact that we have to reinvigorate, we have to redefine our community colleges. We have to reach out, we have to partner in different ways. So we're really excited about that. Business and education working together, I want to give you some specific examples of what we do, and one of the things I thought it was interesting is, let me look at the Chancellor's comments. The one thing that I wasn't quite sure of that I wanted to mention is probably the biggest, the most well-known in our system of business and industry and working with education is Sheldon State Community Colleges Board with the Mercedes Corporation. And I wasn't quite sure what they call the program. It's mechatronics. And that gets a lot of publicity. But we at Bevill have lots of opportunities and lots of partnerships with business and industry. Now, our single largest partnership is with Alabama Power. Now, you know that Bevill is a large serves a large geographic area, has 4 campuses and a site. That makes for some interesting things, such as today. If you were listening to the radio or looked at our webpage, you would have found that this campus, the Fayette campus, the Carrollton site opened on time. The Jasper campus had a sprinkler burst yesterday and water damage, so it delayed until 11 o'clock. And the Summerton area is a campus that's closest to Birmingham, and so as I came home late Tuesday night, there was still a lot of snow and ice in the Summerton area, but not in Jasper. So that's the types of things we deal with. So the Alabama Power thing, we work well with Alabama Power throughout our service area, but the major partnership is centered on the Summerton campus. We're working with their generation, and that means, you know, how to generate power, arm of the company. In fact, we have an Alabama Power Training Center on the Summerton campus, but they spent about $150,000 to renovate the space. Just recently, Dean Leslie Cummings, who's the interim Dean of Instruction, Dean Al Moore, who's the Dean of Technical Programs institution-wide in the Summerton campus, and Ken Russell, who directs our mining program. And I went to Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College to look at what the Southern Company had done down there, because we believe this program will grow and will expand. Right now, we're offering soft skills training to their employees. We anticipate we'll be doing some technical training. But I know that one is not in C3's area. It just happens to be our biggest one, and I wanted to mention that. But we have some things that are in C3's area, and this one is a little unusual, but our nursing programs. Dr. Dale Alexander, who's responsible for the nursing programs on this campus, is with us today. We do clinicals throughout. We have partners with all of those hospitals. But since we have simulation equipment now on all of our campuses, we're doing medical training on various campuses for hospitals and nursing home personnel, because the simulation equipment allows us to simulate crisis situations as far as life is concerned without endangering anyone's health. So that's something we're doing district-wide. We also have the mining technology program, which is the largest single number of employees we train is in that field in the non-credit, and that is at the Summerton campus. Then we have some things in this area that I wanted to mention. We are doing welding training for marathon equipment. We've been doing that. We'll continue to be doing that. We do steel dust recycling. We work with them. They send their employees through our Ready to Work program. At 3M, they have helped us with Career Day and training in problem solving. We offer that training for them. So there are numerous examples all across our state, and I'm sure Chancellor Heinrich had been here, he would have hit several examples. I just don't know what they are at the other colleges. I do know the one in Sheldon. Dual enrollment, to me, if I had the power to change anything that would create the most economic development potential, it would be dual enrollment. And the Chancellor is seeking more scholarships. And what dual enrollment does is it takes many students who are in high school who've never thought about going to college, and it gets them to enroll in a college course, and they become interested, and then they go on Now, we do a lot of dual enrollment. The advantage of dual enrollment as opposed to AP, for example, is the college credit will transfer. I learned when my son took numerous AP courses and he got to Wake Forest University, his 4 in computer science wouldn't transfer. They wanted a 5. The cutoff usually is a 3 to transfer an AP. But if he had a computer science course at the community college, it would have transferred. So that's very, very important. Dual enrollment, I dream of a situation where every high school student who's able and capable could be dually enrolled. I've had the experience, not here, but when I was president in South Carolina, of 2 students who did this. They graduated from that college and within the next 14 days graduated from high school. Just think, if we had a population that when they were graduating from high school, they were graduating from the community college the same year, some of them in technical areas, such as welding, or machine tool, or drafting, some of them in transfer programs. That means at age 18, they will be ready to go into the workforce, highly skilled, highly trained, or ready to transfer to a senior university. Think of the cost savings to the families involved. Our tuition is far, far less than that of any of the universities in the state. So I'm excited that our chancellor is pushing to have the amount of scholarship money available increase for dual enrollment. I think it's critical. We're offering dual enrollment in lots of fields, and in this area, and this campus, and the Fayette campus, the Carrollton side, we offer English, math, psychology, history, and speech. We also do dual enrollment in welding, machine tool, and those 2 programs on this campus are growing. In fact, we've had to do a rearranging of some walls to accommodate the growth. So, dual enrollment, to me, is the best economic development tool there is. There are a few communities in the country, a few, not many, that have, through community foundations and other things, funded fully for every high school student if they would be willing to do this, to pay the tuition. It's a great economic development tool. I want to just say again, congratulations to the announcement, for you, David, for the announcement on Monday. I think we should give David a round of applause, but I know it was everybody. And I appreciate the time and the opportunity to talk to you. I know Chancellor Heinrich really focused on those 2 things. There's one other thing that was in the comments that you sent in that I didn't have any notes about, but I do want to mention it, and it is important to us, and that is adult education. This is the 3rd community college system I have worked in 3 different states. This is the only one where the adult education is in the community colleges. It belongs in the community colleges. In some states, we send people who didn't succeed in K-12 back to a K-12 setting to get the adult education. And what we do, you see our billboards that say, complete your GED and get your tuition paid for a class or 2. We get people engaged. And at Bevill State Community College, 14% of our students are students who have attained the GED. That is another large pool of people who do not have that high school diploma, another large pool of talent that we cannot afford to waste. And I think Alabama gets it right by putting adult education in the community college system. I know at Bevill that number is very important. And I know I've had people say, well, I just have a GED. I want to tell you a story about a person that made me believe very strongly in the GED very early in my career. I was teaching English, was what I taught, at Nashville State Community College. You heard David say I had a bachelor's and master's from East Tennessee State, Regional University. Not a bad school, not a great school, but I felt I had a good education. We did not have private offices. I shared offices with a woman who also taught English, and her master's degree was from Bevill. And I was really impressed. She was a great instructor. We were the same age. But guess what, friends? She had dropped out of high school. She had a GED. She had a GED. Scored at about the 99th percentile when she took the GED. But Barbara Walcott Rogers made a believer of me then. I told that story to a woman. I was over in Asheville, North Carolina. I talked to you about this incubator the other day at AB Tech about 2 years ago. And the woman showing me the incubator they do in North Carolina. They do adult ed at the colleges. And Marilyn was saying, here's our GED, and here's this, and this is a person who's finished their GED, then they've got a degree from the college, and now they're one of the businesses, they've started the business. I said, well, I really believe in the GED, and let me tell you why. And this woman who was responsible for that incubator, and who had been the public relations coordinator for the then governor, not the current governor, turned to me and said, I do too, I have a GED. So the chancellor did have comments in there about the adult ed, and I didn't have it in my notes from this morning. Thank you for letting me see those comments and add that. Again, thank you. Working together, we can accomplish great things. I think that announcement on Monday shows that. We want to be a partner in everything that you do with C3. We want to serve our communities even better than we do, and I think we serve them very well. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk to you today.
Thank you, Ms. McNutt. Always a joy hearing you. At this time, I'd like to thank Johnny Rogers for the commission for letting me be part of C3. They were the ones that appointed me. And Ms. McNutt said we had a good day Monday over in Fed Fabrication. It showed great community spirit for all of us to come out and support one another. It's all about the support, because any win in the C3 area is a win for everybody. So I think you really should be commended for your support for the whole area. At this time, I'd like to call out our board members, Vice Chairman David Logan, okay. Larry McGee, which is the treasurer, Barbara Reeves, Don Cole, Ron Davis, Gerald Terrell, Dale McCarless, John James, Steve Forsey, and Philip Harris. And as I mentioned, David Thornell has done a great job, along with Renee Shirley, which is our administrative assistant. And Rose has come in to help us too. They all do a great job. And at this time, was Don Bussey. He wasn't able to make it, but we want to recognize Don Walden this time. Mr. Don, you. Mr. Don. Mr. Don was our founding chairman of C3, and will be rotating off this year. Mr. Don took me under his wing when I come in. I really appreciated that. He's a great guy. So we'll give him his plaque later on. All right, at this time, I'll turn it back over to Dave.
Thank you, Wayne. We're about to wrap up early, I don't you don't normally hear complaints about something like that. Hey, we finished early. We've had in this just over 3 years about 1,000+ jobs, somewhere between 1,000 and 1,100. I'm hoping closer to 1,100. The past year, about $58 million in investment in this this area, most of it right here in Marion County. You'll see a beautiful brand-new building there at Wrangler and Hackleburg. And new industries, one in each county, Fayette and Fayette. This Paradise Canyon that I mentioned, Bear Creek up in Bear Creek, where the folks that moved into Brilliant, which added lots of jobs. There's about 80 at that new plant in Brilliant. And then the other one was Integrated Waste Solutions in Vernon. Went into the beautiful American Non-Woven building. And I failed to mention metalworking. Those folks are doing metalworking, and how could we miss Marathon? Does metalworking in Vernon. So we're proud of those jobs. We look forward to more. It's going to take all of us working together. It takes a lot of work just to put something like this together. And I want to mention again, as Wayne did, Renee Shirley, who's our marketing and membership director, that was at the office late last night, along with Rose Shackelford, Rose is our part-time help and just does so much for us, and we appreciate Rose and the work that she does. I want to thank Britton Lightsey and David Logan, who are our chauffeurs today for Greg Canfield, as he had to get over from the airport. The helicopter landed there to here and get Greg back. Went off without a hitch, except that Greg left his watch and Britton had to maybe make an extra trip back over that way. If you remember nothing else from today, remember that Max made that drive yesterday from Tampa. We appreciate you all being here. There's plenty of time and plenty of folks here to visit with and fellowship, and so just take your time as you see your way out and drive careful. And we hope, I told Dr. Heinrich yesterday, we'll try to have these annual meetings at least once every year, so he's on the top of the list to be invited back next year. But we'll hope to see you again many times between now and then. Thank you so much for coming.